Oh, you guys can hear me. Got it. Okay, it is 5 o'clock. My name is Isla, and this is Live at 5 with Most Things Hypnosis. Let me turn off the mute that a little bit. Let's see. I think there's a delay from Zoom over to that, so I think I can just do that, and hopefully everybody can hear me. Send me a text or something to let me know if you cannot hear me on YouTube, but you should be able to, hopefully. I don't know. I'm going to like my own little video. Okay, my name is Isla, and I am your host, Isla Brock. This is Most Things Hypnosis, live at 5. Today is a little different, and I always say that, but it's always true. And I'm looking for the different. Where's my different? I have a different. Excuse me, I think I ate some sugar, and the sugar I ate was gives me a little bit of a oof in my throat. And now I'm looking for my notes, so forgive me. They were here and they disappeared. And my screen's just a little small thing, and so anyway. But I want to welcome you all to my show, whether you're watching live or if you are watching it after the fact. My guest today, I do have a guest today, Denise Villamia Md. She's a consulting hypnotist and coach. She's back east on the East Coast. And I'm going to go through her bio in just a little bit. But first, you all know I have this little thing called the But First segment. And as soon as I find my But First segment, I'll start telling you all about my, what's going on. And I did get a really neat, a little poem I'm actually going to read. And again, these were all pulled up and then they just like disappear as soon as I start to, I don't know what happens. I hope everyone's 2022 is going well. Mine is fabulous. Because I'm always fabulous. Everything is. And if you'll just bear with me for just a moment, I'm going to bring up my notes. I don't know where my notes are. My notes just kind of disappeared. Let me just go ahead and bring this up and I'll look for my notes later. Most importantly is Today's show, we're going to be talking to Denise as a medical hypnotist, consulting hypnotist. She was a doctor for many years, but we'll get into that in a bit. Half of my show, I'm going to talk about money. I know, financial security, money. What do you do with it? How do you manage it? Where does it go? I don't know. There's a lot about money that's not discussed. Things that I've learned that I'm still learning. And I just want to make, just give you some ideas. How can hypnotherapy even help that? So that's where we're going to go in the back half, and it'll just be for a few minutes. But first, I'm going to go ahead and read this wonderful poem. Self-care is often a very unbeautiful thing. It is making a spreadsheet of your debt and enforcing a morning routine and cooking yourself healthy meals and no longer just running from your problems and calling the distraction a solution. It is often doing the ugliest thing that you have to do, like sweat through another workout or tell a toxic friend you don't want to see them anymore, or get a second job so you can have a savings account, or figure out a way to accept yourself so that you're not constantly exhausted from trying to be everything all the time and then needing to take that deliberate mandated break from living to do basic things like drop some oil into a bath, read a Marie Claire book, and turn your phone off for the day. Ooh, what a thought. I can't even imagine that. I don't know if I want to. Oh, I'm sorry. A world in which self-care has to be such a trendy topic is a world that is sick. Self-care should not be something we resort to because we are so absolutely exhausted that we need some reprieve from our own relentless internal pressure. True self-care is not salt baths and chocolate cake. It is making the choice to build life you don't need to regularly escape from. I like, yeah, I'm going to address this. And that often takes doing things you least want to do. It means looking your failures and disappointments square in the eye and re-strategizing. It is not satiating your immediate desires. It is letting go. It is choosing new. It is disappointing some people. It is making sacrifices for others. It is living in a way that other people won't. So maybe you can live in a way that other people can't. It is letting yourself be normal, regular, unexceptional. It is sometimes having a dirty kitchen and deciding your ultimate goal in life isn't going to be having abs and keeping up with your fake friends. It is deciding how much of your anxiety comes from not actualizing your latent potential and how much comes from the way you were being trained to think before you even knew what was happening. If you find yourself having to regularly indulge in consumer self-care, it's because you are disconnected from actual self-care, which has very little to do with treating yourself and a whole lot to do with parenting yourself and making choices for your long-term wellness. It is no longer using your hectic and unreasonable life as justification for self-sabotage in the form of liquor and procrastination. It is learning how to stop trying to fix yourself and start trying to take care of yourself. And maybe finding that taking care lovingly attends to a lot of the problems you were trying to fix in the first place. It means being the hero of your life, not the victim. It means rewiring what you have until your everyday life isn't something you need therapy to recover from. It is no longer choosing a life that looks good over a life that feels good. It is giving the up on some goals so you can care about others. It is being honest, even if that means you aren't universally liked. It is meeting your own needs so you aren't anxious and dependent on other people. It is becoming the person you know you want and are meant to be. Someone who knows that salt baths and chocolate cake are always to enjoy life, not escape it. And that's from Brianna Weist. And I think that's my guest. And she's waiting for host. And I don't see, I don't see her. I don't know what happened to my my ghost, so I don't see you. I don't see you. I don't see you. All right. Well, let me let's see if I can figure this one out. I have my guest possibly in another place. Let me go to participants and do a quick invite. Maybe that will help. And then we'll get going with our show. I'm sorry, folks. Seems like every week there's a little something else that needs to be taken care of. Let's see. Okay. All right. And I am going to send a new link. I have sent new link. So let's see if that helps, because she might. I had two meetings scheduled today, but I think I gave her the first one and not the second one. So hopefully she'll be able to just chime in here in just a few minutes. Woohoo! All right, Denise, there she is. There she is. Can you hear us? Oh, why is she? No, it should have automatically just joined her. All right. Well, I've got a little technical issue. I've got some technical issues to go through. I don't know if I just gave you the wrong one or what the deal was, but
well,
you're here now. There you are. Yay.
Exactly.
Well, I had set up 2 Zoom meetings for today. The one I gave you, I think, is what I sent it to you. And then I thought, oh, I better try this. So I did a test Zoom earlier when you were asking me. Maybe I just grabbed the wrong one. I wanted
this one told me you were in another meeting, so I assumed that you would switch into my feed when you were done speaking. Anyway, we're here now, so that's fine.
So we got it, and we are live on YouTube, streaming through Zoom. It's like, cool.
Okay.
YouTube, Google is great for that. So anyway, I just read that amazing poem by Brianna Weist. That was really beautiful.
Yeah.
Love that. And I want to welcome you to my show. This is my dear friend and colleague, Denise Villamia Md. She's a consulting hypnotist coach. She's always had a passion for helping others achieve good health. She worked for 2 decades as a doctor in pediatrics and emergency medicine, and now retired from the clinical practice. She shares the powerful gift of hypnosis with individual and group clients online all over the world, and actively seeks to educate physicians about hypnosis and encourages them to incorporate this in their treatment plans, which is such a great idea. She is a fellow of the Royal Society of Medicine section on hypnosis and psychosomatic medicine, and a member of the National Guild of Hypnotists. Contact her through www.aahypnosis.com. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for the invitation.
This is awesome. So what's cracking? What's really going on?
I don't know about you, but for me, it's been an upsurge in people with anxiety over the last 2 years, and anxiety and just general freaking out right now, because everything the goalposts keep changing. We keep thinking we're at the end of this, and we're not, and it just makes everything harder. It's not just COVID related directly, but all of the tensions from it, and then Christmas and New Year, and so a lot of people calling with anxiety issues. A lot of people wanting to quit smoking, the usual New Year resolution stuff.
Right.
How about you? Are you seeing a lot of New Year resolution stuff?
I'm not seeing a lot of New Year's resolutions yet, but it's still early. It's still just the 6th day. I do have clients lined up over the next week, and I think everyone just kind of getting back into the swing of things. Kids are going back to school out here next week and such. And I'll probably
they're going back in person.
Yeah.
A lot
So
on the
far,
East Coast are virtual again.
Yeah, so far, I mean, I don't know about LA, Los Angeles Unified, but here in Tulare County, the different schools, they're going back in person. For how long, I don't know, and it's subject to change Monday for all I know. I know there's been an uptick in cases here in Tulare County over the last couple of weeks too. So,
and it's that uncertainty that's led to all the anxiety, or at least an increase, because of course, many of us were anxious before the pandemic about so many things in life, but it's just has made it worse. Yeah,
exactly. And it's funny because I am getting quite a few people who are, they're in anxiety, but it's like it's bringing up other stuff from their past they never dealt with, and whatever's going on, like little things now are triggering them.
Right. Smaller things are a problem now.
Yeah. And now it's like, but this happened and that happened, etc. So
totally but at least now they're having the chance to deal with it. So that's good.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, before I forget, everybody, I'm just going to have this chat with Denise. And if I get to my set, great. If I don't, I'll put it off to next week. And it's just all about hypnotherapy and money management. So we're just going to keep talking until we run out of stuff to talk about, or until you have to go, or until the show's over. Fine, sorry.
Well, that's fine. So is there anything in particular you'd like to talk about?
Well,
how's the weather in California? Because it was pretty bad here.
Oh, well, you have definitely the worst weather. It's cold right now. But I mean, that's relative because I'm in California. But this week, like at night where I'm at, I'm in the Central Valley between about an hour south of Fresno, in the San Joaquin Valley. And it was like the mid 30s over the last couple of nights. And it's getting up to like 50, 53 or something like that during the day, but the sun is out. And it makes it
cool for California.
For about 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon, I can just go with a short sleeve shirt on out in the sun, and it feels pretty good. You know, now it's starting to get cool, so I had to put my jacket on. I had the heater.
I can't come visit for a while, so shush. I'm dealing with the winter, but that's fine. What is nice is I have no desire to go outside, so I can just see my people online.
That's right.
Get on with my work and work on my latest project. So that's good. Yeah.
What is your latest project?
I've started to, as I told you last time we spoke, I've started to incorporate group work. I used to work, I wanted initially, I thought when I came out of training school, I wanted it to be very customized, really, really focused on one particular problem, because everybody's got these little tiny nuances to their story.
Right.
But there are so many issues that are so common to us all, even though those nuances are different, that I realized that I could serve people, seeing them perhaps once or twice, and then having them in a group, or starting in a group, and then if they had a particular issue, moving into one-on-one. And so I'm doing more group work, and I've joined Kajabi, a well-known platform for delivering online courses. And so I'm delivering a course and doing group sessions every week with that group, as they can learn stuff online. And so my next one is launching in about a week and a half. Yeah, nice. About a week and a half. And that's on self-care. And that was why I sent you that poem.
I read
because it was, you know, when we talk about self-care, it tends to be, I feel like I'm being patted on the head. Are you feeling stressed? Go get your nails done. It'll make it better. You know, that's not that. Yes, it's lovely. I'd like to get my nails. Well, I don't really worry about nails, but, you know, get your hair done, get your nails done, go to the spa, whatever. Yes, nice, but not really addressing the problem. It's Band-Aid.
Right.
And the things that I want to work with are on things like finances. You know, do people have such strange conversations in their heads about money? We carry through so many of our parents and our grandparents' beliefs about money without realizing it, because they're subconscious. And so I want to work on the program's broken down to the perennial body image and weight loss, and dealing with those issues. I can't get to the gym, I don't have time issues, those kinds of stuff. We're just breaking down all of, you know, the wheel of life that we talk about quite often, like all of the sections that are really, I think of it more of the spider's web of life, because all these things are connected.
Yes.
And so So dealing with each of those things, deciding which of those things you want to concentrate on, because as we know, you can't bombard the subconscious with all the changes that you want to make at once. One, it won't stick, and two, it'll freak out and just close shop and won't let you change anything. So
Exactly.
It's to help people do that. And then through the weekly coaching, will help refine what they want to work on. And of course, they can send me emails during the week. And they have an audio tape. The modules will be delivered every 2 weeks to give them enough time to work on the issue. Mm-hmm. And then the audio tape or audio recording will be available to them at the beginning of each module. And they can listen to that for the 2 weeks. And then as a special, they get to one audio custom made for them on their issue. Nice. So long as they give me enough warning, of course. If everybody wants everything at the same time, it might delay things. But
right.
So that's a fair amount of work, but worth it. I'm really enjoying it. I'm learning a lot. And I found that wonderful poem. I really think it should be.
Oh, I think the poem's great.
Yeah.
I might even print it out and put it on my wall.
Mm-hmm.
That absolutely is. No, that works. Yeah.
Do you have it in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Could you read that? I think she puts it right at the end, a bit about chocolate cake.
Oh yeah.
That's better than my mani-pedi one.
It is becoming the person you know you want and are meant to be. Someone who knows that salt baths and chocolate cake are ways to enjoy it, and chocolate cake are ways to enjoy life, just not escape from it.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I found that, well after I'd written half of my copy, and then I found it a few days ago, and this is exactly what I mean.
That's right.
that there are so many things. When I was working as a doctor and had small children, I never had a minute to myself. We especially women, I'm sure men do it too, but especially women were told, you come last. And of course, there's always some new thing coming in and taking the time that you want. So I'll be working with people on figuring out in the coaching part of it, how to plan a day so that you get a few moments breath, and doing some breath work and those kinds of things. And then also working with the subconscious in allowing the subconscious to accept that it's okay for you to be as important as everybody else in your life.
Putting yourself.
Not more, but as important.
Yes, but putting yourself on your own to-do list.
Yes, exactly.
We're no good to those in our circle.
Exactly.
If we're not taking care of ourselves first. It's like that old adage when the flight attendant says, put your mask first, put yours on first, and then everybody else. It's like the captain of a ship, back in the old pirate days. They had those big, huge ship schooners or whatever. And the captain was always first. He slept first. He ate first. He was first. And it wasn't due to selfish arrogance. It was somebody has to be cared for in the right mind to make the decisions.
Exactly.
I see this often in just life. I get excuses. Well, I couldn't do this, that, or the other for my, because I had to go help so and so and so and so. It's like, but if you had helped yourself first, they're adults, they can handle their own. They're just you're enabling them. Kind of
I used to see that a lot in the emergency room. I would have, and sometimes it would be men as well. It would be strange decisions, not logical decisions. It would be, I can't be admitted for my major orbital fracture or my heart attack because I have to milk the cows.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And the cows have to be milked, but we got to find somebody else to do it because you have to stay in the hospital. Or I can't be in the hospital because I have to make dinner for my husband. Yeah. But if you're dead in 2 hours, you won't be able to make dinner either. So would you please stay here and let us take care of you? It just, now some of that is the incredible heightened anxiety of being in an emergency room. You don't think straight when you have those kind of issues.
Right.
But a lot of it is just this assumption that I'm just gonna grit my teeth and I'm gonna get through this no matter what. Sometimes you need that because there is no option. But if you can find some space to give yourself some breathing room, you'll be able to deal with things so much better, and you end up with fewer health problems because so many health problems are worsened by stress.
And your body is like not telling you to stop. My friend of mine just is recovering from COVID, and he did well. He did the ivermectin and hydrochloroquine, zithromycin, and zinc cocktail, I guess they give out or whatever. So he did that, and in 24 hours he felt a lot better. And he, the day he was anyway. But my point is, throughout the week that he was sick, he just kept talking about how he was trying to keep working. He works, he has self-employed, but he would tire by 1:00. And this is a guy that could get up at 6 and just go until 11 and just stop.
Now, was he giving himself the rest he needed?
His body was forcing himself to get the rest he needed. So because his body he just couldn't go, and he, couldn't move. It's like, I just have to do it. It's like, stop and take some time. Rest is one of the biggest things when you're sick like that. So take it. So if you're not going to take it, your body's going to take it for you. If you
but the problem is, it would be so much better if you would give yourself that time to recover before you hit the wall.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that is, unfortunately, again, from my days at doctors and nurses, and you're seeing this with COVID, people are partly being forced because there's a shortage of staff, and partly just this assumption that we will just keep going until we drop. And it is so unhealthy in so many levels.
Exactly. They're saying that the quit rate right now in healthcare is
huge.
It's like 6% across the country. The highest it's been in decades, I guess. I don't know, for a long time. The quit rate. And I don't know if part of it's anxiety, part of it is corona, part of it's pressures at work, etc. So no, I get it. It's kind of okay, let's see. So you are currently working more with anxiety type clients.
It's always been, since I opened, if I had a percentage, it probably I would say 30 to 50% in any given week is people with anxiety, or at least a major component of their illness. If somebody is sick, there's an anxiety level anyway to that, because it's scary to be, even if it's relatively minor illness from the medical person's perspective. From the person who's experiencing it, it isn't.
Exactly. I tell my clients when they call, they want to see me because of anxiety, and they, let's say the schedule's not there, I can't see you for 3 or 4 more days, and they're now in I could say, just chill, let's just take a few minutes. First of all, giving them a definition of anxiety, and the definition it's a generic definition, but it's a negative emotion wrapped around a future event. The future event can be 10 minutes from, it doesn't have to have a date. It just has to be a future event. I'm in trouble when I get to work tomorrow or whatever, but that negative emotion. So I'll just, in their mind, in whatever that is that they're concerned about that's causing their anxiety, think about 15 minutes past it. And all of a sudden, I just imagine what that feels like. And then it teaches them to move the emotion. I feel good. I feel relieved. Okay, hold that. Hold it. Hold that relief. Hold it. And I'm just on the phone in a consult. Now, imagine taking that and bringing it to you right now. And you can hold that right now while you're in this anxiety. And it ends with a 10-minute phone call. It's like, they don't even call me back. Wow, I've helped them.
You need to work on that.
No, right? Come in and I'll teach it to you. So I keep moving my computer, and I apologize. I better just put it down so it doesn't bubbling on my legs. I'm not in my office. I was going to go to my office, but I ended up being at home all day working.
That's nice. It's nice to see your clock.
I know.
When I do my consults, I don't usually do any. It's usually the mechanics of it, of how it works and what their problem is. But I don't usually have to. I can usually see somebody within a couple of days. I can jiggle my schedule around usually. And that's part of this is also, it's part of the reason why I want to be able to do group work, because I can see so many more people, which will free up some more. Once I've figured out the logistics of Kajabi, I'll be able to zip these courses together easily.
I have a co-host.
I see. I hadn't met
Abby.
before.
This is my little Abby. My Abby girl. She's about 8 months old. and she's just a love. She's been over here taking all kinds of stuff off the couch, off the chair. She's just dragging it over there because she knows I can't get to her right now. You're just being too cute. See, say hi. Okay, calm down, calm down. She's just a love. She's like a scruffy little thing, you know. She was found in a friend's backyard back in July, and they guess she was about 3 months or just under 3 months old then. So just coming out of her first heat, and I couldn't get her fixed before then because all the hospitals out here are just booked solid.
Of course.
So 3 more weeks and I can get her in, and hopefully this is the only heat I ever have to
deal with.
Yeah. With her. Yeah. Oh, we've had
Do you know anybody that works with pet hypnosis?
I've heard of people.
Me too, but I haven't met anybody yet that's done, and yet I hear all the time about it.
There was a post. I don't know if it was. I read it. It had to be today or last night. It was on. I think it was on Facebook, and it was in one of my hypnosis groups. This lady does dog or not dog animal communication, and
okay.
She, I don't know what happens. She's able to create some kind of communication between the animal and her owner.
The dog whisperer, remember him?
Yeah, something like that. But it was just posted, and they gave her name and how to contact her. I don't know if it was in the Facebook group or the other resource group or something, but I thought that was kind of interesting.
So if anybody listening to the call, contact Isla. She'll figure out what it was and
I'll figure it out. Right. If you really need a dog talker, somebody. Yeah.
This is one of the things I really enjoy about our profession. There isn't any professional jealousy. We all do. There's so much that we do that's similar, but you're always seeing hypnotists calling, saying, "Do you have any experience with this? Would you like to see this person? Or this person's closer to you?"
Right.
And it's just such a great community to be part of.
You know, it's funny in our hypnotherapy school, because Denise and I did go to the same school. There's hypnotic modalities. The director of the school was teaching it, and something he said, I don't know if he said it when you took the class, but we're sitting in the classroom, and he goes, "Look to your left and look to your right." And there was about 40 of us in the class. He goes, you know, in a year from now, y'all will be hypnotherapists, and nobody is in competition with anybody else.
Yes.
And it didn't occur to me that there would be, but once he said that, I'm like, well, that's pretty cool, because I have referred many people to other hypnotherapists in areas that I just don't want to or can't or just I don't. Or
just know that that you don't have
not my scope
enough of an interest in that thing to gain the expertise that you want to have. For the person.
Or that they would want me to have. So my scope, our scope, it's, you know, vocational self-improvement. And outside of that, I got to get a referral, or I'm going to refer you to an MFT or a psychotherapist or someone like that.
Now, most of all my one-to-ones, if they call me themselves by finding me on Google My Business or Google Profile or whatever it is now, then we go backwards, and I talk to their doctor, or I have the doctor clear them before I see them, because you don't know what else might be there if they're not. People are terrible, and they don't know what they have because they forgot. If it's not an issue when they're talking to you, they tend to forget. Exactly. And although there are very few reasons that hypnosis would interfere with a medical issue, it's still good to be aware, and it's especially good for those doctors to know that their patient is seeking hypnosis for an issue.
And the issue, it's a marketing. It's a great marketing tool.
Yeah, it is that. But it's also, I really want to educate people. I really strongly feel, even if I don't care if they never come to me, but I want people to see hypnosis as a medical modality. It is so useful. It's useful for lots of things, but it is so useful. If we only got rid of the anxiety surrounding medicine and health issues, it would be such a service to mankind. It really would.
Exactly. Everybody. I haven't done it yet. I've been thinking about it, notes on it. So it is a plan. When I write something down, it becomes a plan, but I want to reach out to the dental community.
Yes.
And I mean,
have you worked with Juan Acosta? He does a lot of dental work.
No, I haven't worked.
Yeah.
No.
I'll send your contact
not out in this area. No. Yeah. I was a TA with about 4 or 5 other hypnotherapists with one of the previous instructors at HMI, Ken Dubner, he does the stage hypnosis certification or whatever. And then there was another psychologist. He also went to HMI, and I don't remember his name. I think it was Johnson, but it's such a generic name. But anyway, every year they go to UCLA, and dentists from all over the country go to the UCLA dental department. And these two men bring hypnosis to them to teach them how to do just some basic hypnotic techniques for their patients in the chair. They're nervous. They're going to get the needle, which is usually why people are so nervous when they go to a dentist, for example. So it was fun to go and work with these dentists, hypnotizing them and then teaching them how to hypnotize me or everybody. We were all taking turns with each other. That was kind of fun. And I thought, this has merit, because the videos that they were showing of people in hypnosis getting root canals.
Right. And that's really what Dave Ellman did.
Yes.
That was almost his whole practice. He did a road show. He just went to dentists and doctors around the country. And we did a lot. This is back in the 60s, people.
Yeah. Dave Ellman, we were working with a couple of his own techniques in that as well. I look like I'm really dark. Am I dark? I'm probably too dark.
I can see you, but you don't have light directly on your face. No, but yeah, the other I actually had an anesthesiologist, I should say, a doctor who works in anesthesia in Italy, reach out to me yesterday and ask for information on how she could use hypnosis in her practice. And so I know somebody in Italy who's a medical doctor who practices a lot of hypnosis, but he's not in her area. So I'm trying to get hold of him to find out. We're all very friendly. We're very approachable, and we will go out of our way to find you the right person to talk to.
That's right. And we will. We absolutely, if I can't find it, if I can't help, I'm going to put you in touch with somebody who can. And if they can't, they'll put you in touch with somebody, et cetera. And it just kind of goes down the line. Absolutely. I get quite a few people who Spanish, and I have somebody who went to HMI. I refer them to her all the time. She's like my Spanish go-to kind of thing. So it makes it fun. Self-care. We did talk a little bit about the self-care part, and you're doing a webinar starting on Monday.
I was going to say, actually, because we're getting close to the time when you should be talking about finance, and I want to listen. So why don't just say, on my website, there's a contact me page. There will be a registration page, but at the moment, if you're interested in self-care and you're interested in receiving the replay, because 4 o'clock on Monday, my time may not work with 1 o'clock your time, just shoot me an email, say, sign me up, and I will send you the replay and a link to the live portion of the webinar. If you can come, fabulous. If not, you can have the replay and the free audio of hypnosis for confidence and self-esteem.
Awesome.
Okay. Awesome. And that is www.aahypnosis.com.
I love it. That's great. Oh, you got it going.
And when you go back into your YouTube channel, you can write that stuff in the commentary.
I will absolutely do that. Yes.
So now tell me all about finance.
Finances. I know. Tell you all about. You'll be my audience. Okay. I'm working on, I don't know if you went through it, but at school that I attended, HMI we attended, the certification in hypnotherapy. And it was taught by the director's wife, Susie Kappas. And I don't know, did you ever take that?
Which one?
Susie Kappas's weight loss.
Yes, I said.
Yes. So, okay. So I like the premise of it. So a couple things. One, I took it a little further and I made a 13-week weight reduction program called Food Sobriety Weight Reduction, 13-week food. And I'm doing a big summit on it at the end of the month, and I'll get into that commercial later. Good. But I love the premise of this taking a few weeks. I've got there's 13 weeks that I'll be helping people with weight loss and weight reduction, I like to call it, because 3 months is a solid amount of time. If you do the work, you can actually see
change. Yeah.
Right. So I'm thinking, and this was about 3 years ago when this concept came up about why can't I do the same thing with finances? Make it a 4 or 5 week program.
Yeah, it's a
where people
quarter.
would come in and see me once a week. We go through their financial problems. Now, I have resources where I can get them a free financial analysis. It doesn't cost anything. I have a colleague who would be more than happy to do the financial analysis with them. Then we can find out where their money's going. Impulse buying is one of the target areas that I want to target. I have been an impulse buyer.
That's such a major issue with all of the back talk and stuff you're carrying over that you don't realize.
Oh yeah. So I'm like, wow, you know what? When I stepped off the marriage platform and I now became my own head of household, at first I just kept living like I always had for like a year. And I'm like, this isn't working out. Financially, bad things were happening to me, and it was my own fault not taking adult responsibility. So it was probably about 2.5 years ago when I finally decided that I needed to make some changes. Now, I didn't have anybody in hypnosis help me. I did go through one session with the hypnotherapist on money, and it really gave me some insight to myself. And it's like original thought is very difficult to come upon. So I doubt that I am the only person out there with these thoughts about money.
Yeah.
Good, bad, or indifferent. So I thought, really need to work on some kind of a platform where I can do. I'm thinking like 5 weeks keeps coming up, a 5-week session thing. So I thought, well, let me talk about it today. And it's like, it's impulse spending. It's, my food sobriety is abstaining from certain foods. Well, I might be calling this money sobriety and just keep trailing in that little niche, the sobriety of life, if you will. But learning that you need to abstain. So one of the things that I've done, and I'm just going to give some tools real quick and kind of go into some of the notes that I gathered. Money itself, it's just energy. It doesn't have to be the mighty dollar bill. And I was actually going to have money up here, but I left it over there. But it's just I give this money, I give this, and I get, somebody gives me, then I give, and they give me.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything if it's staying still anyway.
Exactly.
But it doesn't mean you should go out and spend it all. But it's a tool. It is. Yeah.
It's a tool, and it doesn't have to necessarily be cash. So my boyfriend made a bunch. He picked lots of olives, and he cured them himself. And he makes these he cans these amazing jalapeno garlic olives, green olives. He cans them. He does the whole bit. They're addicting. I mean, he'll eat a pint a day, and they just have that wonderful, you can't stop eating.
So now you're going to have an olive sobriety session too, right?
Exactly. I'll tell him that. So I'm driving like 2 days before Christmas. I have to go up to see my sister who lives 400 miles north of me. She has, my dad was a police officer back in the 60s in East Metropolitan in Los Angeles. And she has his service revolver, and I wanted to give it to my son for Christmas. My son is a gun aficionado, and I thought, what a cool gift, right? And so I left on a Wednesday morning. There's a point to this that has to do with money. I'm driving up, and I have to I'm in California. So some of you who are in California, you'll understand this. You got to take the 99 north like you're going to Sacramento, and I have to cut off east to the 88E. Well, if you're looking at a map, and it's a traveled road if you're going to go snow skiing, and it's plowed, but not well. So I'm traveling along, and I see these signs. Now, it's probably been 40 years since I've had to put chains on my car. I've gone up to Nevada, northern Nevada. So I actually, the big sign, chains required unless you have 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. I stopped to put chains on my car. The Caltrans guy, who was not supposed to be helping anybody, he came over and helped me put my chains on. I mean, it took me over an hour. He was helping me with all the different tricks of the trade. I was so appreciative. And I had this case of olives. Now, I would have gladly given him money. And it's, probably about I don't know, maybe 28 degrees. The wind's blowing, the snow's coming down, and it's slushy too because the plows have been by, and it was cold. And I only had my little knitted boots that my feet were soaked to the knees, right? So, and I forgot all about grabbing my shoes. I didn't grab boots for me. So anyway, short story long. So I give them hand warmers because I had a whole bunch of hand warmers, and I gave them this jar of olives. I was like, I would have totally given him money if I had cash, but I don't carry cash anymore. So I gave him olives. So, but my point is, it was something
barter.
that
We've been doing
it was
barter.
a barter, exactly. It was a barter kind of thing. And it was a way, I was able to give because he gave to me time and knowledge, and I gave to him heat and some food, right? It's another colleague of ours, Joe Tabanella, gave this wonderful definition about the giving concept. We don't say receive, we don't say get, we relate.
Oops, you're frozen.
And they give me groceries. I go to the car dealership, I sign paper, I give, and they give me a car. I gave the olives, the guy gave me time. It's just that giving. I'm giving this time right now to my dear friend Denise. I want to know more about what she's doing and how this is going. And so it's like, and she's giving us knowledge and information. So it's a giving concept. And if you stay in that, your money, the idea behind money what you've had, it really does start to dissipate. You got to have some kind of incentive, an inspiration, enthusiasm, stimulation. And there's a program that I absolutely promote. I absolutely believe in, it's Mental Bank, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't know about Mental Bank, just look it up online.
Talk to her, talk to me.
But just call us. We'll give you the lowdown. I do Mental Bank seminars. Its success is not by accident, but it's a way of journaling, and it works with a law of attraction kind of thing. You need some kind of a driving force, an accountability, a system, but something that works and resonates with you. When we were going to school, going to that school was the most amazing thing, except outside of my children being born, that I'd ever done. And so much so. And I was a really big woman back, 5 years ago. I mean, I was pushing 300 pounds. It was huge. And I was so self-motivated to show this school that this works. Not that they didn't know it. They'd already been there for 50 years. I had to prove something to myself, or et cetera. But I had motivation, I had accountability, I was stimulated, these things, something that worked with me.
Right.
And then the same thing with money. It's learning to knowing the information, what is money to you. And if you don't have any idea, you need to start there. Well, I have money because I needed to buy shoes and to buy my whatever. My little earrings, they're really pretty. I love my little earrings. They're so cute. They're just adorable. They cost me 88 cents. I mean, it's like, dirt cheap. I'm turned into a little miser is what I've turned into. But it's just trying to find ways to do things cheaply. But here's the point. Once you find out what money is to you, or when you come into a session with me, we work with you on money. There's several things that I'm going to work with you. First, is there a past, what did you learn about money? Probably most of us learned our money habits when we were children. I grew up poorer than Job's turkey, and all I knew about as money is what my mother taught me.
Right. And I grew up in post-war Britain. Admittedly, I wasn't born until the war had been over for almost 10 years, but we'd had rationing right up until the year before I was born. And so my parents' attitude to money was
exactly save.
Very, very, very nervous.
Yes, very fiscally reserved on that. Very much so. So, and it has a lot to do. So my mother never met a dollar she didn't like, and it was to our chagrin. And then she lived with me, my ex-husband and me and our children for 5 years. She lived with us. And that was, at the time, I enjoyed it because I hadn't really cut a lot of ties with her. I was still in my late 20s at the time. And I remember just thinking, it was it was an interesting time. I let her continue to parent me. And I look back, because it's like I didn't know any, I didn't think I knew any better, and then the more she did that, the more it just became a custom. So when we needed something, she just paid for it. She just started paying for everything. It's like, I never charged her rent or anything. I didn't mind if she wanted to buy groceries, but then after a while, I started getting wise, and I just like, we can't be doing this anymore. You keep your money or whatever. And she ended up moving out after,
I wanted to ask you, how do you deal with people's shame around money? Because so many people, especially if people have been in serious debt or have tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of credit card debts that they haven't told their significant other about.
Yes. I have a client right now, and it's a very much a strain on their marriage. And they had already worked, I think they'd already filed bankruptcy or something. Anyway, it's a strain. So it's being a good example myself, trying to be a mentor to them as well, but giving them the mental bank to help them realize that they can have substantial abundance, but too much is given, much is required. So if you are given much, then there's a responsibility,
stewardship.
Exactly. That's it. So I want to manage what I have well. I'd love to give more. I have a daughter who lives in Southeast Asia. I would love to give her more because she lives on so little, but she does well. She doesn't ask for anything. So that's why I don't mind, giving wherever I can to her, just because she lives in a third world country. Somebody who has shame, it's because of something specific. So I'm going to ask them what it was. So we're going to look in, for example, when I went to a hypnotherapist for some just learning about money issues, I had a memory popped up when I was a little girl while I was talking to her. It was Susie, and we were chatting, and I just had this memory because she wanted me to go back into a memory that I can, that kind of related to money. And I don't know. I know my older brother, who is 2 years older than me, he was there, I was there, and my little brother, who's 2 years younger than me, was there in this scenario. And then I can't remember if my little baby sister, who is 4 years younger than me, was there. And if she was, she might have been walking, she might have been at that age, like 1.5 or something. So that's how young we were. So, and I remember Mom had a really big bowl of ravioli, and she was just feeding us one bite at a time, right? Now, her and my biological father, they had been married probably, we'll see, maybe 6 years, 7 years or something. And he was an alcoholic. And this is just things that I've been told, and I know that he was an alcoholic. Later on, I learned that. But just kind of like what I remember that particular night. And I know it's night because I remember it being dark. She had this bowl and he wasn't there. And then suddenly there was some yelling, and she had the bowl in her hand to run outside to go after him for something. I don't know what she was chasing him for, but she was chasing him, and he was
with the ravioli.
With the ravioli. And she's chasing him in the car. And so the four of us, or three, whatever, we're still sitting in the house. I don't know what all happened out there. I knew that there was yelling, and there was a car that drove by, and then she came back in. It seemed like a really long time later.
Yeah.
It may have been 10 minutes, but I was a little girl.
Right. And memories aren't real they aren't snapshots. It's the emotional memory that's attached.
But when she comes in, she had no bowl. And we asked her where the raviolis were. She goes, they're gone. They're just gone. She threw it at him. She took that bowl, she threw it at the car. It's like she had it was like it was so, looking back on it, that when I was sitting in the office with Susie, I'm looking back, I was angry more than anything. You have 4 hungry mouths and you just threw our food away. It was such a pissy thing to do, so, but that was what came up for me when I was talking to her about money. And I don't know what it was. I never starved. I think from that moment on, I don't know. I don't have any memory of starving or anything like that. Just know that
Mm-hmm.
we were very poor. But it's like, okay, so that came up and we cleared it. We used emotional freedom technique, the tapping technique. And that was like, so I can freely talk about it and I have no emotional charge to it at all. It is what it is. But then money didn't really become a huge issue until after I had kids. And then as soon as, because I always had it, money, like after I became an adult, it was like I always had some kind of money. Was never a lot, but I was able to,
Sufficient unto the ends, yeah.
sufficient
But
savings.
of course, when you have children, all the traumas from your childhood are back there because you're looking at you, little yous. You're
Yes,
looking at
the mini me's, right,
yeah.
exactly. So it was just kind of an interesting thing. So then so now I'm married and we have this house and now we have children and it's my job to pay the bills and I'm working and all our money goes into the one account and the bills were paid once a month. I guess we just sat down, we paid all the bills once a month. We have this little ledger. The ex-husband did it for a while, and then I don't know why he stopped or what the deal was. And then we were just back and forth. And then there was a point where I just did it all the time. And somewhere along that line, I started to get careless. I don't know, and it might have been shortly after my mother had moved in, just because now I had someone to take care of us if something, if I was short, kind of thing. So I just look back and I'm thinking that I just became careless. But my carelessness, I know, had to stem from something before. It just manifested itself, in my late 20s. So what have I done? So I step off the marriage platform. I'm now household, and I need to make an income again. So what do? I can't spend money. So this is what happened. My ex and I, we separated. I moved to Woodland Hills, California, which is a very expensive place. I'm renting a room in Woodland Hills for $1,200 a month. I had full
A
use of the
room for
kitchen.
$1,200?
One
That's
room.
worse
Yeah,
than
it
the
was a
East
bedroom.
Coast.
So you get a whole house for that. So I'm only there for a few months, but the money I'm getting as a stipend from my ex-husband, I'm applying that. And then I am working at HMI at the time, excuse me. I think I started working there. I'm sorry, I got an itch in my nose.
Yeah, dog hair or something.
I know, it's like dog hair. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So anyway, I'm working at the school, and that's about when I met you. And then I'm getting this little stipend. I'm seeing a client here and there and such. So it was like, what am I going to do? So now I'm relying on my ex-husband to support me still. And I'm still trying to live the life that I'd always lived. Anyway, I knew there was a point that I just can't do that. So I ended up moving from there, and I moved in with a colleague, another HMI. And although my rent went down $100, it just seemed life was a little bit better for me. So now I'm $1,100, and it was a beautiful home, and we had a really good time for almost a year. And that was a lot of money. And then of course, I'm moving. I'm like, I had to move again. So I moved, 2 hours north to a little town called Tehachapi, still renting another room, but it was different now. It was half the cost that I'd been paying, which was great. And
but you had a long drive to work.
Yes,
that was a long commute.
2 hours each way. And I would stay in town with friends. I did that. I had certain friends that I could go and they'd let me, one had a guest, they had guests, so they let me stay in their guest rooms. So, and I enjoyed, that was fun. And pandemic hit, and sort of my driving to, Woodland Hills, where my office was, and to the clinic was forwarded immediately. So that kind of ended it. So, in 6 months I'd driven like 45,000 miles, and now it's done, kind of thing. So that was like, the 2020 was one of those years for everybody. So anyway, but it's still all about money. And now I'm 2022. I don't have a lot, but I make and I keep and I don't spend. There's like, I'm part of, like, there's different subscriptions that I noticed that I have. I have all these. Oh, I actually was going to pull out the list. Oh, it's probably in my bag. Subscriptions to a makeup company, subscriptions to the gym, subscription to Pandora, subscriptions to Microsoft 360, to Adobe. There were so many of these little, life plan to do business plans. It was $20 here, $15 there. I have Netflix, and it was like over $150 worth of these subscriptions. It occurred to me recently, you know what? I don't need all these things.
But this is part of learning to keep records.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's useful.
Exactly.
So when you're working with clients, and everybody's going to have slightly different story, although the basis of the basic problem is we carry other people's stories with us and we're not living their lives.
Right. So my whole point was to give information.
Yeah.
Give information and give some data and knowledge to people. I don't usually tell my story like this. And then helping them give a systematic way and giving them that motivation, hypnosis, and working out a plan. And it's going to be individual for every person. I'm sorry, you were going to go say something.
No, I was going to ask you, do you do mental bank as a group, as a course, or do you, or do you do it one-to-one?
I do my mental, I do both. Mostly I'll teach it to a group.
Okay.
If I'll put a big flyer out there, whatever. And if one person shows up, they get the one-man show. But I do it every day. I still am working my mental bank every day. I really believe it helps. Impulsive buying, and that's where one of the next things here, impulse buying. It's so easy to do that now than it's ever been.
There's a whole science, my dear. If you listen to the marketing gurus, they tell you exactly how to do it.
Oh yeah, it's so, Amazon is so easy to go buy stuff. I remember back in the day, window shopping was such a big deal.
Yes, but the shops were closed when you did that. You went in the evening and you looked in the windows. Now,
and the Sears catalog, the robot Sears catalog, you could spend $1 billion in your mind. I had more fun just looking through it and imagining. We don't do that anymore.
But as I said, the barrier isn't there. It's immediate. You hand over a credit card, not real money, plastic, and therefore you aren't really one of the easiest tricks, if you like, for people who are really are struggling with it, is to go to the envelope system where they're actually using cash. But that's really hard during a pandemic.
Exactly.
Because nobody else
exactly. No, and that's one of the things that I was that's on my list here. But yeah, doing the envelope system, it's one of the best ways. Now but I've decided I need to know where all my money goes. And if I swipe, I have a record.
Yeah.
I have a record to go through, and it does take a discipline to look at your account every single day. So every day most mornings I'll look at it first thing. Some mornings I know that it will have been hit the night before. And I don't want to look at it. It's like, I don't want to know. It's like, but I want to know every day how much money I have. So,
and it's not just for what you've spent, but also people who are scamming. Don't scam you for $10,000. You'd notice that. Yeah. It's the $5 here and the $20 there, but exactly. 2 million people getting scammed.
I did a survey for Venmo about 2 months ago, and they said for doing the survey, we're going to give you a gift. And I'm like, oh, so they gave me this list of things for the gift, and it was this real pretty watch. And so I clicked on it, and it was $5 for shipping. Great. And there was no other obligation. I read the terms and all of that to make sure that I wasn't locked into anything crazy. This was a survey for Venmo, for crying out loud. And those little bastards charged me $61.67 twice. So I was on it, but keeping track of that, it's also knowing how banking systems work. If you're using your bank as part of your money management, banks have the discretion. They can decide what clears and what doesn't. Typically, deposits go in first before debits come out, if you're putting all that into the bank today. So overnight, deposits are typically supposed to post first, and then debits come out. That's how it's supposed to work. And sometimes
not everybody got the memo.
Yeah, some people just didn't get the memo, and some banks don't always operate like that. So, but dissecting someone's income, going through their financials, I don't care how much. I don't even ask them to tell me that. Them to want to understand the behavior that they're doing with it. So like now what I do with them, my own behavior, and that's something I suggest to them. So I want to go buy something on Amazon. There was a book that came up on Facebook today, last night or whatever, and I really like the book and I want the book. I want it really bad, but I don't want to spend $11.90 because in about 9 days I can get it for free on my Audible that I already spend $14.95 a month on. So why would I spend $14.95 a month on that, get it for free, or keep spending $14.90 a month and
or join the public library?
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know if our libraries are open, but I don't think this book is in that library. But I really, I'd like to have the book. So I'm just going to wait. As much as I want the book right now, I'm going to just be patient. And that's one of the things that we lack when we're impulse buying is patience. Now, the one thing you don't have to worry about me is I'm so big into buying a lot of jewelry. I'll make it, I'll find it for $1 and get it. I'm not real big with shoes. I don't like to go shopping for, that kind of things. But when I get into shopping mode, or what they call retail therapy,
yeah.
There's no stopping. There's no stopping me. But I have to have a deal, right? So now I can go to Amazon, put something in my cart, and I encourage my clients, you gotta sleep on it. You cannot buy it. I've had $4,000 or $5,000 worth of stuff in my cart in Amazon, and a day later I deleted it all. It was just an impulse. So I felt like I was buying it, but I didn't buy it. I just deleted it because you know what? I really don't need it. It was a want or whatever. Wants versus needs. Needs are, air, water, clothing, food, shelter. Those are needs.
And time to yourself.
Anything else?
Get back to self-care.
You got to get back to self-care. Exactly.
Yeah.
So these are these are needs. And if you're in business for yourself, in learning self-care, learning that you you can pay yourself, a salary. Now my salary, when I, see my clients, I make a decent income. It's this actual income, but that's not my salary, so on paper, it looks like I took in all this money, but this little percentage of it is actually my salary.
I know, dear. There's all those licenses and things that you have to do. And
how
many licenses? I have to have state and city. How many do you have to have? We also have a franchise fee here in Delaware.
No, just one.
So I have 3 payments just to be in business.
And it's only $38.50 twice a year. So $80 a year. That's all it is.
2, 3. Mine's about 600 overall.
Yeah. Now I just became an LLC. So I think there's a yearly $800 fee for that.
Okay. So that mine's I forgot about that. Yes. It's expensive to be a business person. It
is. And it's not for the weak and faint at heart either. So there's just so many, and marketing's going to be, and I'm in business. And so marketing's my biggest thing. I have to spend money on marketing. So my little tiny salary is what I use. I'll buy, $100 a month in groceries, and I'll put gas in my car, and I'll make my car payment and my phone payment. I mean, I use my salary to pay these things. Well, at least part of them, etc. So, but going with the client, dissecting their income or how they spend, and going into that different, how they handle money, and then learning the difference. This is so important. Financial security is different than money. There's a huge difference. I know so many working with a relationship strategy. There are people whose highest priority is relationships. And then there's people whose priorities are financial security. And mine is relationships. It's like I've had to make some forcing changes to put financial security at the top of my list. It's about 98% there. It's still not there because I don't want to change. I'm like that little kid beating her hands. I don't want to do it, kind of thing, but I'm okay. Using the debit card method and not having credit cards. I have a card in years, and I'm fine.
Mhm.
If I don't have the money for it, I don't have to buy it. I don't buy
Yeah.
it. I don't even have a business credit card. I don't want it. Like I said, I don't carry very much cash. And then learning to make wise decisions. Now, wise decisions, that's hypnotic with me. I'm going to help them with the journey, bringing in the imagery of a wise and having some sort of element or entity in their hypnosis to another alter ego, if you will, a
Mhm.
little self-conscious Jiminy Cricket that's going to make those decisions. Remorse, that shame you feel you bought something. I'd rather my clients feel it before they do it than after.
And then
So,
not do it.
and then, yeah, exactly. But that shame is like, we're going to look at where it came from. We're going to look at
Right.
what is that now? Why is that?
Mhm.
And this learning, it's an addiction. And learning that justification is a common side effect or symptom of an addiction. And
Mhm.
boy, why do we justify it? We will do everything we can to justify it, even if I don't have anyone to justify it to, and I'll still justify it to
No,
me.
it's because we're responding to pain of some kind
Yeah,
and
we're
moving to a
justifying it.
short-term pleasure.
Right,
Because yeah.
exactly. Subconscious mind enjoys emotional pleasure. Oh, it
Mhm.
brings good. So yeah, we have to. So addicts will always find reasons within themselves and to others how they spent money and why it was a good idea.
Mhm.
And they wonder why. And then I want to ask, why is it a good idea to always be broke?
Mhm.
And I would love to finish this. And I just looked at the clock.
Yeah, we're a bit late now.
We're a little bit late, but that's all right. Yeah, but that was just an interesting conversation. I still have like 2 more pages, but that's okay. I can finish this on a scale because I still had a new concept I wanted to present, but I will
Mhm.
be happy to present that next
Next
Thursday.
time.
So
Yeah.
stay
Okay.
tuned for part 2 of
All right.
money
All
management.
right. And remember to go to AA Hypnosis if you're interested in ways
Exactly.
in free help towards
Free help.
self-care.
Right. Definitely
All
go,
right.
yeah, aahypnosis.com and go talk to Denise. She's amazing. And she's one of the few doctors that'll let you say, hi, Denise, instead of hi, doc, although she does earn the
You can call
respect
me either.
of a
It's
doctor.
fine.
She worked hard. Yes,
All
you
right,
earned
dear.
that.
It was really nice talking to you again. I've
You
missed you.
too. You
Okay.
too. You too. We'll do this again in 6 months or
All
sooner.
right.
All right.
Okay.
And you take care.
Bye.
Have a